Welcome to this 25-minute intermediate vinyasa flow. Please start in a comfortable seat and begin to connect with your breath. Use this moment to really make your breath smooth and long, and if Ujjayi breathing is in your practice, this is an opportunity to tap into that, making that small constriction at the back of your throat. And then we'll begin to warm up through the neck. So we'll jut our chin forward slightly and then draw the chin down in towards the chest, keeping the shoulders down and away from the ears. And then we'll take the head over to the right, opening through the left side of the neck and then rolling it down through center and over to the left. We'll do a couple more of these. Welcome to stay in any position that feels really kind of juicy and you want to get in there a little bit more. And then bring the head back up. Take the arms wide and then open through the chest as you inhale. Take the hands behind you. And then as you exhale, round forward, bringing right arm on top of left. Hug yourself in. Chin comes in towards the chest. Head comes down. And then inhale, take the arms wide again. Open through the throat and the chest. Exhale, left arm on top of right. Hug yourself. One more on each side. Inhale, take the arms wide and behind you. Exhale, right arm on top of left. Hug yourself in. Inhaling the arms wide, open. Exhale, left arm on top of right. And then coming up. Inhale, both arms up, look up at the thumbs. And as you exhale, we'll twist over to the right. Taking our right hand behind us, left hand on top of right knee. Inhaling, arms back up. Exhale, over to the left. And coming back round, inhale, take the arms up. This time as you exhale, lean forward into a little forward fold. You can stay up on the hands or maybe you bring the forearms down to the ground. Perhaps the head comes down to the ground as well. And breathe into the back body. And then walk the arms over to the right for a side body stretch. You can bring the left hand on top of the right hand to deepen into this stretch. Breathe into the left side body. And then bringing the hands back through center and over to the other side. You can bring your right hand on top of your left. Breathe into the right rib cage. And then coming back up. And we'll transition to our tabletop position. So hands and knees, stacking all joints on top of one another. And we'll take some cat-cows here. So as you inhale, drop the belly, tailbone and head lifts up towards the ceiling. Exhale, round the spine in our cat pose. Inhale, cow pose. Exhale, cat. Bring the chin in towards the chest. Push the mat away with the hands. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat pose. Coming back to a neutral spine. And then we'll just extend the right leg straight out behind us. Flex the right foot so the toes point down. Keep the hips square, engage through the belly. And then we'll take that extended leg all the way over to the right and let's let it hover for 3, 2, 1, and then set it straight down where it is. Toes point forward. Tuck under the 5 toes of your left foot and then sit the hips back onto the heel. And you can stay lifted in the body, or if you want to go deeper, you can walk the hands forward and drop the head down into a kind of modified child's pose variation. stretching into the feet, into the toes, and into the inner thigh. You can come up onto the fingertips if you want to get into the armpits. And breathe steadily here. And then begin to come out. Come back to your tabletop. And we'll move over to the other side. So extending the left foot straight out behind you. Flex that foot as if you're trying to push a wall out behind you. Stay lifted out of the shoulders, and then take that left leg out to the left. Keep it straight and hover for 3, 2, 1, and drop it down. Tuck under the toes of the right foot, and then sit the hips back onto the heel. And you can stay lifted or go deeper by walking the hands forward and dropping the head down. And slowly come out. Tuck under all 10 toes, and we're coming up into our downward facing dog. You always have the option in your first down dog to stay static and work on your form, or you can pedal out the feet or come up all the way onto the toes and then bring the heels down. Anything that feels good in your body, whether it's movement or staying still. And then we'll begin to walk the feet up to the front of the mat. And once you get there, we'll take an inhale, halfway lift, flat back, look forward, and exhale, forward fold. We'll do that a couple more times. Inhale to your halfway lift with a flat back, and exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, exhale, forward fold. And then inhale, come all the way up, tall mountain, take the hands up, and exhale, bring the hands down through heart center. We're going to be working on hip mobility here, so bend into the right leg and pick the right leg up, point through the right toe, and then we're going to be drawing these big circles with that right knee, lubricating the hip joint. Keep that right foot nice and active. And then set the foot down, and we'll go on to the other side. So picking up the left foot, pointing into that foot, and then drawing big circles with the left knee. Nice and slow. And then finding ourselves at the front of the mat. Take a big inhale, sweep the arms up, option to come into a back bend, tucking the tailbone under and leaning back, and then exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, plant the hands and step the feet back into plank. You need to be warming up through the wrists. So just rock forwards and backwards, coming all the way up onto the toes and then sending the heels back, warming up through the wrists, and then coming back to downward facing dog. Inhale, sweep that right leg up, square off the hips, keep that right foot flexed and the toes pointing down so that we know we have these nice square hips. Feel the stretch in the back of the left leg. Stay active in that right foot, and then begin to open the hip, bend the knee, drawing that right heel into the right glute, and the right knee is pointing up towards the ceiling. Then straighten out through the leg, square off the hips, and come forward, bringing the knee in towards the nose. Inhale, three-legged dog. Exhale, come forward, right knee, right elbow. Inhale, three-legged dog. Exhale, right knee, left over, elbow. Pause here, and then straighten through that right leg. Come onto the inside of the left foot and take the left hand up, stacking the shoulders and bumping the hips up in our fallen triangle pose. Bring that left hand back down. See if you can sweep the right leg straight back up to our three-legged dog, and then step the foot in between the hands. Send that back heel down, the foot comes to 45 degrees. We're coming into our warrior one pose. So bending into the right knee, really trying to clamp that left foot down onto the mat. Stay engaged in the lower abdomen. Arms are strong, shoulders are away from the ears. And then straighten through that front leg. Bring the hands on top of the hips and start to lean forward with straight legs. You can stay here, or if the ground is accessible to you, you can always bend into this front knee as well. Bring the fingertips down onto the mat at either side of your leg and then begin to fold forward any amount. Try and keep the hips square, so you'll be pulling the left hip forward, right hip back. And then come up to a halfway lift again. Ground down through the left hand and then sweep the right arm up so that the right shoulder is stacking on top of the left. Look up at the top thumb and then come down. Bend into that front knee. Step back to plank. Inhale. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, up dog or cobra, shoulders away from ears. Exhale to downward facing dog. And we're moving on to the other side. So let's sweep that left leg up, flex into the foot, engage in that leg, really try to point those toes down, squaring the hips off. And then now you can begin to open the hip, bend into the leg. Squeeze that left heel into the left glute and point the left knee up. And then straighten the leg, square off the hips, and then draw the knee in towards the nose as you come forward. And then inhaling, three-legged dog. Exhale, left knee, left elbow. Inhale, three-legged dog. Exhale, left knee, right elbow. Pause here and then straighten through the left leg. Set the foot down. Come onto the inside edge of that right foot and then send the right arm all the way up. Find the opening here. Fallen triangle. Bring the right arm down. See if you can sweep that left leg straight back up, three-legged dog, and then exhale, step the foot in between the hands. Set the back heel down, 45 degrees, coming up to our warrior one. Keeping the hips square. Again, make sure the shoulders are coming away from the ears. Nice strong back leg. And then begin to straighten through that front leg and lean forward. You can take the hands to the hips and stay here, or you can bend into the knee to bring the hands down onto the ground, or if you have the flexibility to keep that leg straight, you can do that too. Folding in. Taking some nice deep breaths here, pulling that right hip forward, left hip back. And then coming up, grounding down through the right hand and sweeping that left arm up until the left shoulder is stacking on top of the right. Again, just be aware of your hips. See if they've begun to open and try to square them off. Looking up at the top thumb. And then bringing that hand down. Stepping the left foot back to plank as you inhale. Exhaling through your chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Let's take a few breaths here. And then inhale, sweep the right leg up. Exhale, bring the foot in between the hands. Set the back heel down again, coming into our warrior one just for a moment. We're going to be transitioning into a power lunge. So we're just leaning forward and then bringing that back heel up so that our legs are in a high lunge pose. Really reach forward with the hands and then bring the shoulders above hips into our crescent lunge. Stay engaged in the abdomen. And then step forward into our one-legged Tadasana, bending that left knee in towards you or having it straight. Bringing the hands down towards heart center and then coming into our tree pose. You can have your foot at your ankle, your calf, or all the way up at your inner thigh. Keep the knee nice and open. And then you're welcome to keep your hands at heart center if that makes you more stable, or you can bring your hands up into full tree pose. Find something that's not moving on the ground to help you with your balance. And then slowly coming out. Mountain pose. And inhale, tall mountain, sweep the arms up. Exhale, flat back, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale to a halfway lift, and then we'll grab hold of the toes with peace fingers, so the two first fingers. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. And bring the elbows out to the sides. You can bend into the knees if you need to. Try and keep the shoulders away from the ears. Deep forward fold. And then release. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, set the hands down and step or hop back to your chaturanga and take a vinyasa. Your own time, your own breath. You can pause the video at any moment and take a breath or a rest if you need to. Other side, sweep the left leg all the way up and then exhale, bring that left foot in between the hands. Set the back heel down, coming up into our warrior one just for a moment. And then begin to lean forward, picking up that back heel, coming into our power lunge. Feel as if someone's pulling your hands. Nice long line from the back heel to the fingertips. And then come up, crescent lunge. And then we'll be stepping up to the front, balancing on our left foot this time. Right knee comes in, or you can straighten the leg in our standing staff pose. And then transitioning into our tree pose. So whichever variation you took on the other side, you can take on this side. Try and keep the knee nice and open. And then you can change your arm variation if you want, taking the arms up. Always the option to come into reverse prayer as well, if you want a little bit more of a shoulder stretch. And then slowly coming out and coming into our mountain pose at the front of the mat. Let's sweep the arms up, tall mountain, look up at the thumbs. Exhale, flat back, forward fold. Inhale to a halfway lift, and then this time we'll take gorilla pose. So flipping the hands and bringing the hands underneath the feet until the toes are at the wrists. Again, you can bend into the knees as you need to. And then as you fold forward, you're just taking the elbows out to the sides. Shoulders are coming away from the ears, even though it feels very counterintuitive. Try to make space there. Feeling the pressure of the toes at the wrists. And then releasing. And we'll inhale to a halfway lift, flat back. And exhale, plant the hands, step or jump back into chaturanga or plank. Inhaling, upward facing dog. And we'll stay in our upwards facing dog and just take the head over to the right and look behind you over your right shoulder. And then bring the head back through center and take the head over to the left, looking behind the left shoulder, keeping the shoulders away from the ears. And then slowly coming back into our downward facing dog. And then coming all the way up onto the toes, bend deeply into the knees, look forwards to the front of the mat, and then see if you can hop the legs through into a seat. And coming into a boat pose, so bringing the hands to the backs of the knees, leaning back until you lift the feet. And then you can bring your shins to parallel with the mat. Keep the hands behind the knees if you need them for your balance, or you can release the hands and you can straighten the legs if you want to. Stay open in the chest. We don't want to do any rounding in the spine here. You can be looking up at the toes if your legs are straight. And then coming out, bringing the left ankle on top of the right ankle on top of the left, and then lifting up into the seat. You could maybe lift the feet as well, and setting back down. And we'll come into our second round of boat pose, Navasana, so whichever variation you want to come into. Staying here for a few breaths. Stay nice and strong in the core. And then left ankle comes on top of right. Bring the hands down to either side of your hips and then lift your seat up. Maybe the feet come up off the ground as well. Good. Let's take our hands behind us so there's enough space for our hips to slide in and out. Fingers point forward, coming up into our reverse tabletop. So knees are above the ankles. Nice and strong in the hands and the feet. And then we're going to straighten through the legs, come onto the heels and slide our hips in between our hands and hover. So back to tabletop, and then exhale, slide our hips through and hover. Inhale, back to tabletop. Exhale, straighten the legs, slide the hips through. And we'll stay here for 3, 2, 1, and come down. You can always have your hands on blocks as well if that helps you. Okay, drawing the right heel in towards you, basket weaving the fingers at the sole of the left foot, and then straightening the leg any amount. Doesn't have to be completely straight. Feel this nice stretch in the back of the leg. Keep looking at the toes, nice strong flat back. And then transitioning into revolved heron. So taking that right hand and grabbing hold of the outside of the left foot. So we're just flipping our hand. And then taking the left arm out behind you, twisting over to the left, looking at that back thumb. And then option to stay here or option to release that left foot and stay in the same shape. So we're really using our core to find this twist. And then unwind. And we'll move on to the other side. So drawing the left heel in towards you, clasping the hands at the bottom of the right foot and lengthening out through that right leg, looking at those toes. Nice, long, straight back. And then transitioning into our revolved heron pose. So taking the left hand and flipping it so that you're grabbing the outside of the right foot and the right arm comes out behind you. Keep looking at that back thumb, twisting over to the right. And again, always the option to keep hold of that foot, or maybe you want to try releasing that right foot and keeping this twisting shape, really using the core here. Keeping the leg lifted. And release. Good. And then coming to lie down on our backs. Picking the feet up and then just cupping the knees with our hands. And just trace some small circles a few times in one direction. Just giving our lower back a bit of a massage. And then change direction. Good. And then we're going to be coming up into a shoulder stand. So rolling up onto the shoulders, bringing the hands at the back and walking the hands up the back until you can align your hips over your shoulders. Legs nice and strong, point through the toes. Try and keep the chin away from the chest and avoid looking from side to side when we're in shoulder stand. Option to stay in shoulder stand or maybe come into halasana, into our plow pose, bringing straight legs down, the feet come above the head and you're bringing the tops of the feet onto the ground or the mat. Clasp the hands, straighten out through the arms, really Have nice strong fists grounding into the mat. And then another option to come into ear pressure pose. So bending into the knees and then squeezing the temples with the knees. Again, keeping the arms nice and strong. And then slowly begin to roll out. Taking the feet to mat width and just letting the knees knock in together just for a couple of breaths. And then we'll windshield wiper the legs from side to side, taking the arms out to a T. Just neutralizing through the spine. And then the next time the knees come over to the right, just drop them down to the right and look over to the left for our supine twist. And bringing the knees back up through center and take them all the way over to the left and look over to the right. Bringing the knees back up through center and then coming into our final posture, Shavasana. Take the legs out long, let the feet fall open. Make any adjustments you need to, maybe picking the shoulder blades up off the mat and setting them back down again. Close down the eyes, palms face up. Feel this deep sense of melting and release through all of the body. Notice if you're holding tension anywhere and really try to release. Let the breath come back to its natural rhythm. And as always, please stay in your Shavasana for 3 to 5 minutes, if not longer. Thank you so much for practicing with me. If you like this video, please check out my other videos and please hit subscribe. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.